You're listening to Nick DiPaolo on the Riotcast Network, riotcast.com.
What's up, everyone? This is Rob Sprance from the Riotcast Network, here to tell you that Riotcast is taking over Manhattan and the New York Comedy Festival with two amazing shows on Wednesday, November 6th at the Village Underground in New York City. At 7 p.m., it's a very special live episode of Robert Kelly's You Know What, Dude? With an amazing lineup of Jim Norton, Bailey J., Dan Soder, Louis J. Gomez, Kelly Festuca, and more. Then at 9 p.m., it's Riotcast Stand Up Live, with an insane lineup of comedians you've heard on the Riotcast Network, such as Colin Quinn, Bobby Kelly, Jim Florentine, Rich Voss, Bonnie McFarlane, Mandy Statmiller, and more. Get your tickets now for both shows right at the homepage of riotcast.com. Tickets are going fast. You do not want to miss out on an amazing night of comedy. Live YKW Dude at 7 o'clock. Riotcast Live Stand Up at 9. Get your tickets now, and I will see you at the Village Underground.
Hey, boys and girls. Long time no speak. What's going on? It's Tuesday, October 29th, I believe. That's the date of this recording. Who knows when you're going to listen to it? Probably tomorrow, hopefully. What's happening? Looking at the cover of the New York Post, and it's so funny. It really is what they put on the front page of the Post. Got a dominatrix, this hot smoking white broad who apparently went to school, like some rich school here in Manhattan with Gwyneth Paltrow, but she's making like $300 an hour as a dominatrix, and I'd say she's underpaid. Quite a figure on that gal, kind of an hourglass shape to it, as they said in the 40s. Hubba hubba, she's a hot tamale. Yeah, she's a dungeon mistress. Never got the whole dominatrix thing. Somebody has to explain this to me. I don't get it. I can see, hitting somebody out of anger and getting pleasure out of it. But when I lived in Los Angeles, there was a guy in my building that was into this shit, and we were talking about it one day. I think I caught him. I think he was coming into our building with a bag, and I could see like a bullwhip sticking out of it. I forget what the fuck else. But I said, I don't get it, man. I don't get the... And he said, dude, what are you talking about? It's like a fine line between pain and pleasure. Really? Huh. No, actually, you're right. I'm always confusing a blowjob with a bee sting. I don't fucking get it. Somebody help me here. You get off like dominating somebody? If that gets you off, just get married. You know? There's days where I dominate my wife, and then she dominates me, mentally. I don't get it. But one time I was making out with a girl, and she bit my tongue like real hard. I just met her, so I dug my thumb into her shoulder, and she jumped away from me, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? It was like she almost drew blood. It was like swollen. I don't fucking get it. Yeah, that's a turn on. So I don't know if that's considered, there's something there that turns people. People like to get choked when they're blowing a load, apparently. People have died trying to do that, which is hilarious to me. I've been choked while I was masturbating. So my wife caught me, She walked in, and next thing you know, her two hands are on me. Just, masturbating to our wedding movie that we spent $2,000 on that we've watched once in 12 years. So I don't get that. Somebody explain it to me when you have time, the pain and pleasure thing. Also on the cover of the Post, Obama got him dressed like a doctor. We will keep this promise to the American people. If you like your health care plan, you'll be able to keep your health care plan, period. He said that on June 15th of 2009. How the fuck's that working out? Liar. I know. He didn't know. We had to pass it to see what was in it. Bah, bah, bah. Imagine, this is just fucking hilarious to me. And there should be more outrage. But basically lied. Not the first president to lie, but this is a big one, you know. It's 1/6 of the economy. Just admit what it is. It's, you know, a scheme to redistribute wealth, and this is the best way to go about it. Just say that, and I'll go along with it. I'll sign up for anything, okay? Blue Cross, Blue Shield. When you're in show business, if you want to call the show business, as I talk to you from my basement, you have to, you know, you belong to a union called AFTRA, and you have to make so much money doing television or radio or whatever. You have to meet a certain threshold, and then you get covered, which I fell a little short this year, about 40 grand worth. Apparently, they don't count the $25 I make at the Comedy Cellar every night. That has nothing to do with it. But if that was the case, you know. So, but how's that working out? Why don't you just admit it? It's not going to work. Ted Cruz, yeah, crazy and all, but come on, admit, he was right. He's right on the money. It ain't going to work. I just don't get it. I know it's cliche to say this stuff, but I don't understand people who really want this much government in their life. I really don't fucking get it. Really. I mean, the DMV, people always point that out, but have you ever had a nice day there? I haven't. Fucking post office lost, what, $2 billion last year? Amtrak lost almost the same. Just, can you point to something where it's good? And they always go, well, how about Medicaid, Social Security? Yeah, they're going fucking bankrupt. What else you got? Mamma mia. Anyways, I used to love to do political stuff, but now that, you know, you're on Twitter and stuff, and people just go fucking crazy. It's not even worth it, you know? I like to fight as much as anybody, but what the hell? Just let it all play out. Let it either explode or let it work. I don't care. Too old to fight. But you got to admit, it's been a disaster so far. Kathleen Sebelius, when's she going to answer to somebody? Or was there a quote, the people that don't really like this, I don't work for them anyways. That would be the American people, you douche. All righty, enough of that. Enough of it. Let's talk about let's talk about the toy department of life, which is what? That's sports, folks. There was a sports writer, Red something. Was it Red Smith? I can't remember his name, but that was his quote. Sports is the toy department of life. And, you know, again, it'll be all over soon. New York fans, the World Series, we're on the verge. You know, I'm a Bostonian. I can't help it. I've been following this team since spring training, only because of the way it imploded with Bobby Valentine and all the commercials that ran all last winter on how they were going to change the culture and shit. And I was sitting there like everybody else going, yeah, show me, please. And look where we are. We are a game away, folks. A game away from going worst to first. And I mean literally worst to first. They had 69 wins last year. John Lester last night, or you'll probably be hearing this tomorrow, 2 nights ago, just shut down the Cards. Shut them down. All we've been hearing is about the great pitching of the Cardinals, but we find a way to get it done, huh? And the big story, Shane Victorino with a bad back. He's got tightness in his back. Now, this guy's a gamer, so I'm kind of questioning this. He was just having a horrible series at the plate, really embarrassing himself. I'm thinking they're trying to save face with him. They sat him down, and Farrell's just making all the right moves, regardless of how this season ends. This guy's a goddamn baseball genius. I'm telling you, making all the right moves. And then Yui Hara comes in and throws that crazy wiffle ball, and just, I don't understand. He's 110 pounds. He doesn't throw, heat like the Cards relievers, and nobody can hit this guy. It's crazy. Anyways, we're on the verge. That will be tomorrow at Fenway Park. I'm sitting here as I speak to you waiting to hear on tickets, okay? My agent knows somebody very important in the upper echelon of MLB ticket sales. Apparently this guy has got my agent World Series tickets for a couple of series, and he's the go-to guy. I'll quote my agent. My agent said, if Joe Torre wanted tickets for Wednesday's game, this is the guy he would call. But he told me that last night, and I haven't heard anything. So, once again, life is working out perfectly. I'm sitting here biting my frickin' nails. He's probably called within the last hour. I've been down here preparing for this show because I know it's going to be heard by hundreds and hundreds of people, all in the tri-state area. But yes, so I'm waiting on news about tickets. Do you understand, folks? Why is that a big deal? Because the last time the Red Sox clinched a World Series, it was a little bit a ways ago. It was 1918 against the Cubs, I think it was. I'll say that again. 1918. That's 331 years ago. The last time they clinched at home. I would love to be there for that. I really would. So please pray for me. Then again, it'll be too late by the time you hear this. But I told my agent, look, and this really put the fear of death in him. I said, our relationship depends on this. You don't come through, and I'm starting my own agency. And he's like, well, there's $1,100 in commissions I'll lose. So please, Tony, come through. Please. And I will go up there and witness something in person. And then drive back the same night. That is the plan, if this does indeed go down. That's right, folks. Drive up to Fenway Park in the afternoon, get there, time for the game, and then reverse direction back to New York City, same night. Probably get home around 4 a.m. and get up and get on a plane to Buffalo. What a wet dream, huh? This is the way I planned it when I got into show business. This is how I planned it, okay? Heading to Helium. Great club, by the way, in Buffalo. Great goddamn club. It's Helium. They have one in Philadelphia. The owner's a great guy. And I haven't played this one yet, but I used to do well in the Buffalo markets, which is, I do well in Buffalo, Minneapolis, all the cities where it's 11 degrees in late July. And, yeah, looking forward to it. Thursday, Friday, Saturday night. So if you're in the Buffalo area, which is upstate New York and lower Canada, come to Helium. It's going to be a blast. It's my last week of tightening up this hour before I shoot this hour DVD in Minneapolis. Yeah, it's 5 shows. And then next weekend I'll do Uncle Vinny's, put the finishing touches on it on Friday and Saturday night in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. And then I get up Sunday and fly to Minneapolis and shoot 3 shows. 1 on Monday and 2 on Tuesday. So that is the plan, and I'm uptight. I'm just uptight. I'm just waiting to hear. I feel like an expectant father for his first kid, waiting for that phone call about these tickets. I mean, would really love to be there. And look, if they don't win it, I have to go to Buffalo anyways and face a Game 7, which will start at probably 8:07 Eastern Time. I will go on stage. The show will start at 8 o'clock. I'll go on stage about 8:35 in Buffalo. I've been following the Red Sox since spring training. I watched the exhibition games. And I remember when my agent brought me this gig, and I saw it was the end of October, and I said this to him back in like June. I go, with my luck, the Red Sox will be in the World Series. I swear to God, that is an exact quote. Who would have guessed? I could be on stage in Buffalo, and I love you, Buffalo. So maybe we can change the show time. It's supposed to start at least 7:30. And that way I get to see, most of the game when I get off stage. You can see I'm really focused on my career. But ticket prices, obviously, just what you expect, are going through the roof. Record prices for Game 6. Where are my fucking glasses? Hold on a second. Got 19 pair of them. I was sitting on them. Look at the fucking right earpiece is bent. Jesus Christ, I'm like the nutty professor here. Game 6 prices as of 10 a.m. this morning, according to ticket tracking company Tick IQ, $1,860. Bleacher seats of the game, which could have been had for $300 last week, are now selling for $1,100 as of this morning. Listen to this. On Monday night, someone who wanted 2 of the best seats in the house paid $24,000, 24 large on StubHub for a pair of tickets in the first row in a dugout box between home plate and one of the on-deck circles. 24 large. Well, if you get that kind of money, just buy the Red Sox. If you can just shill out 24 large. God help us. The last time, last 2 times the Sox won the World Series, 2004, 2007, they were on the road. Okay? We were known as chokers for years, right? The Red Sox, the whole Buckner thing, 1975 against their the Big Red Machine. We lost Game 7. Do you understand? We swept 4 games, 2004. We swept Colorado in 2007. That's 8. We got 3 wins. That's 11. So we have 11 wins out of how many games? I can't do the math. 14 or whatever. That's crazy. And Big Poppy. I'd blow that guy tonight. I'd make him wear a rubber. But he's hitting 733. Can you even do that when you're playing Xbox or whatever? So, listen, this is what's funny, though. Fans began buying tickets Monday night right after the Red Sox scored in the top of the first inning. Prices were going up $50 an inning. Bleacher seats that were $625 when the game started were $900 by game's end. Field boxes that were $1,400 or $1,900 by the time Lester walked off the mound. Oh, my God. I wonder what I'm going to have to pay. I'm sitting here talking to my agent, and I'm kind of just like assuming that he's going to give me the tickets, which is stupid. I wonder what this is going to cost me. Probably what I'm going to make in Buffalo. Maybe I should rethink this whole fucking thing. I don't know. It used to be so important to be there, man. What could be better, though, huh? Since 1918. Say a prayer for him. All hail the Sox. Be driving up with my agent. That'll be fun. What are we going to talk about? My next radio gig. I don't know. What else is going on? In the sports world, Jets showed who they really were. Against Cincinnati, who has a real team for the first time in about 25 years. And they just kicked the shit out of the Jets. Geno Smith looked like the rookie that he is. My Patriots looked like they took a big shit the first half against Miami. They literally looked like one of the worst New England teams. It was like 17-3 at halftime or whatever. And then Brady comes out, works his magic. But during that game, one of the Patriots, and we can't afford any more injuries, but Sebastian Vollmer, who's a big offensive lineman, and he's really good, really tough, real tough guy. He busted his leg. I saw it. I've been watching football for so long. I have a trained eye. I saw the guy roll up on him. I thought I could hear a pop. And because they have those giant microphones down on the field, and they showed the replay, with the audio. And well, let me play the clip for you. You can actually hear. Obviously, you hear him screaming after him, pounding the ground. And you can tell just if you watch football long enough that something snapped. But you can actually hear it pop, I swear to God. Listen closely.
They've been in a long time. 1st and 15. And Ridley. And Wheeler came up to finish it off after Starks got hold of first. And it looks like Sebastian Vollmer.
Boy, you could hear him yelling.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, you could.
Did you hear that? Listen again. I'm going to play this like the Zapruder film. It was great. You can hear it. You hear pads crackling like you always do, but you can hear before he starts screaming. And if you watch it on TV and play the audio, you see the minute the guy rolls on his legs, you can hear it, and you put the two together, and it's pretty gross.
They've been in a long time. 1st and 15. And Ridley. And Wheeler came up to finish it off after Starks got hold of first.
Sounds like me when I open my wife's credit card bill. Snapperoni. Oh, it was freaking, he was face down and pounding the ground. You know how much to take a guy that tough, because these linemen are sick bastards. You know, I played at a small school up in Maine, but they were the sick fucks. They were the toughest guys. And to make a guy, I don't know, about 6'5", 305 scream like that, I mean, it takes a lot. But he only screamed for like 30 seconds, and then he sits up and they're putting the cast on him. And we can't afford this. Gerard Mayo is out for the season, leading tackler for the Pats. Will Fork, all-pro, out. Talib, our cornerback, has hip problems. We can't have it. It's no good. And they're commiserating. We can't have it. It's no good. So that was pretty gross. And I can't help myself, though. I have to watch that over and over again. I'm one of those, like the Theismann thing. I must have watched that 1,000 times. And then you get the one, you had the kid in the March Madness last year. That was, that might have been the worst. That's so, in basketball, the cameras are so close and the mics are right on the floor. That was pretty nasty. So, ouch. It's a brutal game. They say injuries are up this year. It's just getting worse. Why are we surprised when a 340-pound guy falls on another guy's leg that it snaps like a carrot? Your joints weren't meant to take that much. I'm telling you, if they wanted to make the game safer, I don't mean to sound like a pussy. I don't think I'd watch it if they did this. But if you really eliminated steroids and HGH and pro football, and I mean completely eliminated. Come on. They know when the tests are coming out. But if you did, I mean, that's half the battle. Joints weren't supposed to hold guys that were 350 pounds, you know? And then you get turf. You know, your foot doesn't slide on regular turf. When somebody hits you, at least on grass, you know, the mud gives out. There's a little give. This is just, it's a recipe for disaster. And you're going to see more and more of this shit. It's crazy what's going on. How about Merriweather, that defensive back? I don't remember who plays for now, but he's a real headhunter. And he's got fined for, for targeting the head many times, and I can't even remember who he plays for, but he said, he's quoted now going, "Okay, I won't go high. I'm just going to have to ruin guys' knees." This guy's like the most vicious fuck. So he's going to go after people's knees. And you almost, what do they want these guys to do? They're going 400 miles an hour. You can't really pick your spots, okay? I understand leaving your feet. That's wrong, to leave your feet and take somebody's head off, but So he said that and got some flack on Twitter from other players. And was it Brandon Lloyd? The guy that one of the receivers that was known for hitting his wife said that Merriweather should be out of football if he does stuff like that. And Merriweather said, "Well, yeah, guys who hit their wife should be out of football." It's one of the most entertaining things, and the best thing about social media is listening to these guys fight with each other on Twitter. But the game's getting more vicious, man. I was thinking about, they were talking about concussions this weekend again and targeting with the head and all that shit. And I was trying to think back on how many concussions I've had. And I know of 5. Again, they weren't severe, but they were concussions. And when I was a kid, I told you, 11 years old, 11 or 12, I got hit by a car and I was in a hospital for a week. That was a concussion, for sure. That's the first one. But then I remember being knocked out in a game in high school, returning a kickoff against Salem. I grabbed this kid, Sean Stone's belt buckle. I was right behind him. He was part of the wedge. And we were going right up the middle. I stepped to his left, and there was a kid for Salem coming the other way. I mean, a kid who was about 245. I remember hearing a loud crack and then people unpiling on me. That's all I remember. I don't remember what happened in between, and I realized I didn't have the ball, and I'm laying on my back, and I see the ref blowing the whistle, pointing. In other words, Salem recovered the fumble. So that was, so I went to stand up, and everybody was crooked. The field was tilted, and my coaches were waving me over, and I went to step. It's like when you're drunk and you miss the ground. So that was 2. I was diagnosed with a concussion there. And then against Lynn English, which was this inner city team, they always had a shitty record. They were the toughest kids. They were the most physical. They were brutal. It was you cringe when we had to play these guys. They always sucked. We'd always beat them, but they would knock the snot out of us. And I remember running an ISO. That's what your fullback is supposed to lead you into the line, like in the A gap. My fullback went the wrong way. They hand me the ball, and this defensive end, this kid for Len English, hit me so hard that my chin, 2 pressure points, my chin split and my forehead split. Same thing. I look over the whole, once again, you look over all the bleachers and everybody in the crowd is like crooked or whatever. That was another concussion. So that's 3. And then up at UMass, up at UMaine against UMass, the first time I carried the ball as a starter, I get drilled by their strong safety who's an All-American. This kid Grady Fuller hit me. I was dinged. I went over to the sideline, and I remember the offensive coordinator asking me plays. What do you do on this? What do you do on that? I had no fucking idea what he was talking about. So they sat me down for a series, but then my head cleared up and I went back in. So I don't know if that was a concussion or not. And then the final one was a spring game up at UMaine. That's right, you play football in the spring. And this linebacker, our captain, Dean Ramsdell, I ran like an off tackle, and kid was holding me up by the legs. He came in and caught me flush. I mean, crown of the helmet on mine. I went down like a 2-year-old girl, and I didn't know where the fuck I was. But this is how things have changed. I remember the trainer after that game, Wes, that was his first name, I can't remember his last. He goes, they give you this test, this peripheral test. They put like a bullseye in front of you, and you stare at the dot in the middle of the bullseye, and then they take it, they move a pin in from the outside, the round part of it. If you're looking at it like if you were playing darts, they'd move this pin in from the outside towards the center of the dot, and you had to tell them when you were looking straight at when you could see that pin. That tested your peripheral vision. Apparently that's a symptom. You don't have any peripheral when you have a real concussion, and I failed that one miserably. But this is what he says. You're not supposed to go to sleep when you have a concussion either. Apparently that's dangerous. But this is the advice. He goes, he was from Maine with that accent. Get a couple of them that cute cheerleaders and a few beers, and just stay up tonight. And I got the beers. No cheerleaders. Unless you count male ones. But I got drunk. You're not supposed to do that either. That was his advice. Have a couple beers. I have a concussion. He told me not to go to sleep, but to have a couple beers. So that's 5 that I know of. And I don't know. I'm 51. My memory sucks like everybody else who's 51, you know? It's not like I'm shitting my pants yet, but I don't think that's coming. But I did run into a kid who I played with up at Maine who quit because he had like 8 or 9 concussions. And he came to my show in Foxwoods a few months ago. And his attention span, I could just tell him. I'd be talking to him, and he's just like, and he said, yeah, I can't. He goes, I can't remember shit. He was nervous about it, you know. But the game is friggin'. It's just getting more violent. It's fun to watch. I don't want to watch a league with the fucking like when Frank Gifford played, when the offensive tackle weighed about 206 back in the days in the 50s. That's no fun. That wasn't real contact. We want to see some violence. So, but I agree with the headshots. You got to limit those as far as defensive backs leaving their feet. But I think Merriweather, I think you're going to see people getting their knees blown out. They're watching him like a hawk. Guy's been fined I don't know how many times. Speaking of injuries, what else did I want to? My shoulders, which are killing me now. I've been doing P90X for a long time, as you know. I talked about it on the Nick and Artie show. And I got to stop. I had reconstructive surgery on my shoulders right after high school because I dislocated each one of them. And I'm not exaggerating, probably 20, 25 times each. They were so loose you could come up to me and just punch me kiddingly, and they'd pop out and pop back in right away, but with really horrible pain. And that was all caused, by the way, by not knowing what we were doing with lifting weights back in the 80s. Wouldn't stretch, just go in, trying to bench with the linemen, and what it does, it stretches out all your ligaments, everything that, while you're still growing, all those ligaments that are supposed to be tight that keep your shoulders in the socket, they get all stretched out and everything. And then when you get hit during a game, they come flying out. And I had reconstructive surgery on both of them, and they're just starting to bother me now. And I remember back then, I was 18 years old. I'm saying, this might bother you later on in life. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. You don't care. But no, they hurt in the morning. They do. And, yeah, I had both of them. I popped both of them out. I did everything you could do to shoulders. And I had surgery right after my senior year. Had one done on one in the summertime. This guy, Lyle McKaylee, was the doctor. The guy still speaks. He invented something called the Bankart procedure. That they open your shoulders up, okay? And this guy did 30 to 40 of these a year, and he'd been doing it for 20-something years. And he opened my first one and said it was the worst one he had ever seen. he said because they kept popping out and then going back in, that what happens? All the tendons stretch out like a rubber band. Eventually, a rubber band loses elasticity. That's what happens to your tendons and your ligaments. They get all stretched out, so they don't hold your shoulder in place. So what they do is they pinch those together. They pinch your tendons together and staple them with like permanent staples. In other words, you know what I mean? So they're not so stretched out. But, I haven't been able to do real push-ups since then, I have to do push-ups like a broad. I can do about 15 normally, and then I'm going to have to get on my knees. And, the bank card procedure. Guy still speaks on this. So I had the first one done in the summertime, and then right before I went up to Maine, I can't remember. I'm mixing up my dates. I had one done on Christmas Eve. I know that. And my buddy came to the hospital. My buddy Greg Zook, he's a cop. He's been a cop down in Miami, but he was up here, and he snuck me out of the hospital. Got dressed and snuck out night before the operation. And remember coming back in, I almost shit my pants. He was like a wild kid. He didn't care. But security guard at the hospital shaking his head, coming back in. I think I had the little slippers on, whatever the fuck. And, I had that done on Christmas Eve. It was the only time I could do it because I wanted to play football up at Maine. Yeah, that was like my sophomore year. That's right. And so I wanted to at least go out for spring. So I had to, the only opening they had was Christmas Eve. So I had my shoulder done Christmas Eve. And I'll never forget this because when I woke up, I was on morphine or some shit like that. I can't remember what it was. I think it was morphine. But... and they told me this later on. I hit the nurse over the head with a styrofoam candy cane because it was Christmas. They had the hospital rooms are decorated. And just kiddingly, I broke a styrofoam candy cane over the nurse's head. She was laughing about it. I don't think I did it. They said I was all fucked up. What a buzz that is, though. I just remember feeling really good. And I had a dream. When they did my second shoulder, I had a dream on the table that I died on the table. During the operation, I had that dream. I remember asking the doctor how it went, literally. And he's like, why? I go, because I had a dream that they were pounding on my chest and shit. To this day, I don't know the truth about that. I'm sure he's telling me the truth, but how would I know? How would we know? He wouldn't tell people, yeah, we almost lost you. To this day, that haunts me. It was so friggin' real. It still fucking haunts me to this day. So, yeah, I put my parents through hell with the shoulders. My God. I decided to finally have the operations. I remember the first one. I jumped off a quarry, Rockport Quarries, Rockport, Massachusetts, man-made quarries. Me and my buddies jumped off a 75-foot ledge. And we know because the kids that used to jump off from Rockport actually, measured it and spray painted the height on the... What a stupid thing. That's one of those things you do as a kid. You're like, what the fuck was I thinking? And I went up there with about 7 or 8 friends, and me and Mikey Szynski and another kid was standing on this ledge. The ledge stuck out over the quarry like 8-10 feet, but it was only a few feet wide, but you're 75. That's 7 stories in the air. So it felt like you were standing on something that was 2 inches wide. And anybody made a movie, be like, get the fuck away from me. We stood up there for, I stood up there for almost 45 minutes. My buddy Mikey Sy, the fullback who missed the block, that got my face split open, he jumped off. He took about 25 minutes to think about it and lands perfectly. I'm up there with a couple other guys. After about 45 minutes, I jump off and my left shoulder came out. That's when I finally got it fixed. That was the last thing to happen before I had the first operation. It came out as I was falling. You know how you put your arms out when you're going feet first? And my arm snapped up. It went in and went out. Went right back in, right back out. And when I told the doctor that story, he said, are you fucking nuts? He said both of my shoulders could have come out. I could have went right to the bottom. But you don't think like that when you're in high school. You're, you're invincible. You're Superman. And but that's when I had to have the first one done. That was the final thing. And so I had to wear a shoulder harness to keep my arm in the socket. That was real good. Having one arm strapped to your side. You're trying to play defense, retarded 6-year-old girl could have went around me. Just a little head fake, and I fall over like a Hummel. And the second one, I got my shoulder infected. I went up to Maine. This is true. I had it done. I told you over Christmas break. Go back up to Maine. And I'm still in a sling. Listen to this. Again, more stupidity. I know you people are eating this up out there. I think I'm an idiot anyways. Go back up to Maine, arm in a sling. Probably operation had been 2 weeks earlier. First thing we do is get drunk like on a Friday and go tobogganing. There was this giant hill behind our school. Somebody built it like a 6-foot jump. I'm in a sling with a sling on my left arm. I'm holding a beer with my right on the back of a toboggan with 2 other guys standing up. We go down this giant hill over a jump. Of course, we hit like the side of the jump. Land ass over tea kettle. I feel like warm under my shirt. The surgery opened up. I look, there's a hole like the size of a silver dollar. It opens up. And it gets infected. Like an idiot, I thought it would just kind of close on its own. Not even a week later, I smelled this like rancid fucking... It's like I had a piece of Gouda under my shirt. And I go to the medical center up at the college. And I had like staph infection. And I remember, this is the first time I fainted in my life. I hadn't eaten all day. I go to the doctors because I know there's something wrong. It's like 5 p.m. This nurse, these bright lights and making that humming sound. I'm looking down and all of a sudden I remember her grabbing me. I started to faint. And I hadn't eaten a goddamn thing. I'm not a total pussy. But the smell and stuff and the buzzing of the lights, ooh. So I still have that scar now. People look at it and go, what did they use, a popsicle stick to cut you open? Just you know, I butchered it. And the arm is still not totally in the socket. When I do exercises and stuff, it's I don't have that motion that I do on my right arm, which isn't much because that was the whole purpose of the Bangkok procedure, to limit me how far back I could put my arms. So that was that was all because of more because of lifting weights in the wrong fashion than it was football, but a combination. So, what else is going on in the world, folks? San Francisco. Oh, let's talk about... No, you know, I want to talk about the Jimmy Kimmel thing. This is back on the news. And apparently, I mean, he did this thing. He does this ongoing sketch of this thing with kids on his show. Back on October 16th, he did this thing where he asked like 6 and 7-year-old kids political questions and shit. Asked them for their answers. And they were talking about China and the amount of money we owe China. And he asked a little kid a question, you know, what we should do. And the kid gave a response, an honest response, as kids will do. That's what makes it funny. By the way, you know, asking 6 and 7-year-olds political questions is just like talking to Congress today, isn't it? When we think about it. But, yeah, he was asking about the debt. Well, here's the clip.
Question. America owes China a lot of money, $1.3 trillion. How should we pay them back?
Shoot cannons all the way over and kill everyone in China.
Kill everyone in China?
Yeah.
Okay, that's an interesting idea.
Hey, I think we should consider it. Only kidding. Relax. Not that I'm going to get in trouble. I mean, who's going to hear this? But, yeah, big controversy now. Oh, this is the shit that's eaten us alive as a nation, in my opinion, and as a world. I mean, you got to be kidding me. This was back on October 16th. The kid said, kill all the Chinese. Obviously kidding. A White House petition by outraged Chinese communities, both in China and outside, to protest against a skit on Jimmy Kimmel's show. And let me just speak to this for a minute, because Kimmel has one of the most... I mean, I don't want to say not edgy, because that's an insult, but his show is safe. It's a Disney show. I mean, I did it. I did stand-up on it a couple times, and that was very tough, by the way. I had to do my act. The first time I did it, I had to stand on the stage This is how protective they were and afraid. Maybe that was my reputation. I don't know. I had to stand on stage before the show, with an empty studio with a woman from Disney watching me talk through my act. You fucking believe that? And I couldn't even remember the jokes because when you write jokes, you do it in a certain cadence, and certain rhythm to them. So when somebody asked you to talk it through, I couldn't even remember the jokes hardly. Took forever. But that's how cautious they were. And I know Jimmy does some outrageous stuff with his cousin and stuff, but nothing, whenever race or ethnicity is involved, we really are psychotic in this country about this shit. It's just fucking laughable to me. The skit originally aired on October 16th. And the petition, which called the skit extremely distasteful, and that it was the same. Here's where this makes me fucking mental and makes me the angry guy that I am. It was the same, this is quote unquote, same rhetoric used in Nazi Germany against Jewish people. Really? Okay. And the petition was created on the 19th of October. It since has garnered 55,839 signatures. It needs 44,000 more, roughly, to reach the goal of 100,000 before November 18th, so it can be reviewed by White House staff. Are you fucking kidding me? Old people getting kicked off their fucking health care plans, and this is what we're going to worry about? Are you shitting me? Come on. It was a kid who said it, like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old kid. Yes. He's a mastermind. And it's kind of ironic coming from China. They're upset about a kid saying this. China, who aborts how many female babies a year? People have protested. According to Shanghaiist.com, Chinese people have protested against this segment on websites like Sina Weibo or Weibo, with one user noting that the Chinese are probably the only people that the U.S. mainstream media are free to publicly insult. Oh, is that right? Do you really believe that? I'd like to talk to whoever said that. Really? Really? White European males aren't fucking open season? Are you shitting me? Jersey Shore? Anybody see the 5 years of that fucking nightmare? So you're wrong there. You're completely wrong there. And I'm a huge fan of the Asians and the Indians, by the way, because I think they're the future of this country. They work their ass off. And but they're starting to fall into this shit, this Al Sharpton type shit. And it's just ridiculous. I mean, it's just so funny, Jimmy Kimmel is just couldn't be he's your average white guy, and God forbid. And like I said, Disney, nobody plays it safe with them. So, and I kind of can relate to this because when I was at Free FM on the radio here in New York City, there was a show on before me. Elvis, this guy Elvis, and I forget the show, but JV and Elvis is what it was, and they did a prank where they called a Chinese restaurant and did some stereotypical horse shit that wasn't even that funny, but a dumb prank. And I remember the next day or 2 days later coming into work, and I'm walking past this conference room. I look in, and there's a bunch of Asian people around the table with suits on and shit. And sure enough, they get in deep doo-doo. They get canned. Did that get them canned? I think it got them canned eventually. But it's so funny, As long as the perpetrator of stuff like this is a white guy, oh hell breaks loose, That's what it is. There's always a double standard. I remember Jamie Foxx hosting SNL when Django Unchained came out, and him doing a little monologue that included this.
It's good to be black. Black is a new white. I'm telling you, black. I mean, how black is this right here? Nice fly. I'm saying, Django Unchained, I play a slave. How black is that? And in the movie, I have to wear chains. How whack is that? But don't be worried about it, because I get out the chains, I get free, I save my wife, and I kill all the white people in the movie. How great is that?
Where are you fucking bloggers then? Where's the petition? Ah, no. He's part of the oppressed minority. He can't be racist. I love that theory, that if you're a minority, you can't be racist because you're part of the oppressed. That's hilarious to me. That got a little bit of controversy for about, a day and a half, maybe. And again, it was, Hannity or somebody had to bring it up, some conservative show. Or you wouldn't have heard anything about it. That's how it worked. And it went away in about a day and a half. This thing happened with Kimmel October 16th, and it's still in the news. It's just, it's fucking hilarious. You got to admit it's a double standard, folks. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on politically. I mean, there's double and triple standards. It's just fucking hilarious to me. Yeah, let's get a petition, have the White House look at it. Shut the fuck up. Shit me. Another Weibo user, according to the South China Morning Post, I get that every day, by the way. It's a good paper. Called for all Chinese living in the San Francisco area to gather for a mass protest outside the doors of ABC. And they added, there are millions of Chinese out there, but only tens of thousands have signed the petition. Everyone may be busy, but the point of being busy is to give yourself and future generations the chance to live in a society that understands and respects Chinese people. Please grasp this opportunity and sign the petition. Oh, my aching stem. Are you shitting me? On the Nick and Artie show, we got in trouble. Jeremy Lin, we were making Jeremy Lin jokes or whatever, and we got in trouble. And I hate to see this because, like the Asian people, but they're falling for this same horse shit. This, I'm a victim, fucking Whitey's bad. Get right in line with everybody else. Native Americans. Somewhere, you're going to tell me somewhere, as a Chinese or an Indian or a black person or a Hispanic, hasn't somebody famous badmouth a white person? We have no evidence of that, really. It's just priceless to me. It's a double standard. My opinion, and it's just my opinion, Jamie Foxx hates white people. Absolutely hates them. You can just see it in his eyes. That's just my opinion. Could be wrong. But how about the people cheering in SNL in the audience? When he said, I get to kill all the white people. That's great. Probably a bunch of 22-year-old white chicks cheering. Fucking brainwashed. Drink the Kool-Aid. So, come on, Asian people. Don't follow the road of Al Sharpton and all that horseshit. See, it's a country made up of many ethnicities. This is going to happen, okay? And now you have this wet dream, this fantasy, where this will be eliminated. Jokes. Jokes by a 7-year-old. It's just crazy. It's political correctness, and it comes from the left. Don't come from the right. Don't come from me. How about free speech? Anybody for it anymore? I mean, come on. Give me a break. And I get to kill all the white people, so that's good. So, China has a lot more reasons probably to be pissed at us. How about the 1.7 trillion we owe? That they're probably never going to see, or whatever. No reason to piss them off anymore. So that's that. It's a double standard. If you can do a show like Jersey Shore, you should be able to make fun of everybody. Jamie Foxx should be able to say that. It's actually a pretty funny monologue. But a white person should be able to say the same. I like when Alec Baldwin, remember he hit some racial slur against a guy in the park a few months ago. Again, that story lasted about 30 seconds in the mainstream media. Went away. Give me a fucking break. How do you sleep with yourselves? Honest to God. Ooh, Coke Drip from the early 80s. It's a good time to talk about our sponsor here. This episode of the Nick DiPaolo podcast brought to you by Ting Mobile. Ting is the mobile that makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. What is it? It's an MVNO, which means a reseller of the nationwide Sprint network. They buy Sprint's minutes wholesale so they can pass the savings on to you. Okay, here's the great thing. There's no contracts. Listen to me. There's no contracts. Truly and completely contract-free. No early termination fees. There's no overage charges or penalties. If you use more than you thought you would, you just pay for what you used. Can you get any fairer than that? I don't think so. You can have unlimited devices on one plan. You can have as many devices as you want on one plan, sharing pooled minutes, messages, and megabytes. Each device on a plan costs only $6 flat per month. Come on, that's dirt cheap. Even I know that. No mysterious line items on your bill. Ting charges for what you used. No hidden charges, recovery fees, or other bullshit. And that's their words, bullshit. That's why I said I want these people as an advertiser. The lady used it in the pitch. They have something called the Ting Calculator, okay? The Ting Calculator, that's right. You go on the calculator, you can put in what you're spending as far as texting, phone minutes, data. Put all that in, and you can figure out just how bad you're being ripped off by your current mobile company. And you can find out just how good Ting is and how much money they save you. It's a Ting Calculator. They have no-hold customer support. You can call 1-855-TING-FTW anytime between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Get this, you'll talk to a real person, not a recording, okay? So you get the calculator to prove that they're saving you money. No contracts. Come on. You can go to, and this is the important part, listen up. Go to nickdip.ting.com to receive $25 off your first device purchase or $25 in service credit if you bring your own device. That's nickdip.ting.com to receive $25 off your first device purchase or $25 in service credit if you bring your own device. You can also go to the riotcast.com page, click on the Nick DiPaolo podcast page, and click on the Ting banner. Ting Mobile, it makes sense. Do it. Anyways, what else in the news, ladies and gentlemen? San Francisco, let's stay on politically correct, because a lot of it comes from out of there, you know. That's when me and Artie get in trouble with our show. Great city, by the way. Love it. Out of all the cities, when I did do the road a lot, it's the only one that I'd actually leave the hotel every day and explore the city. It's just, it's the balls. First time I've had actual real Chinese food, too. I mean, really, really good Chinese food. What's going on in San Francisco? San Francisco is to introduce soda tax proposal. Uh-oh. More nanny state shit going down. Here we go. Yeah. Soda tax proposal. It's different than trying to ban soda. Let's get that straight. But, again, it's still... Does everybody have a clit secretly? I mean, you want to be Mrs. Doubtfire? Is that what every fucking buddy in politics? A can of soda could eventually cost about a quarter more in San Francisco. A proposed measure would add a special tax to sugary beverages. But the proposal is different than a similar ballot, which failed in Richmond. Apparently that's a place out there. It failed last year. The idea is simple. The bigger the drink, the more taxes you pay. It would be 2 cents per ounce for all sugar-sweetened beverages. That includes soda, sports drinks, energy drinks, bottled frappuccinos. Ugh, who the fuck would drink a bottled frappuccino? Scott Weiner, or Weiner, however you want to pronounce it, right away, you know he's a fucking nanny stater. It's not a nanny state at all, he's quoted as saying. We're not banning anything. Weiner says the nation's rising obesity rate is what inspired him to come up with a proposal. Which will ultimately need the approval of 2/3 of the San Francisco voters, which probably won't be a problem, I'm guessing. But, I mean, where does this stop, okay? I see the logic. I see what you're going to say. Well, people drink this shit, and then they get diabetes, they get fat, and then they don't have insurance. We have to pay for it, blah, blah, blah. It's risky behavior on their part. Why should we have to pay for their risky behavior? Where the fuck does it stop? I like steak. I like red meat. You know what I mean? You're going to start taxing that? That's not good for you. That clogs your ass. Apparently stays in there for a decade and a half. Well, I mean, where do you draw the line? You know, well, it's risky behavior. Okay, people ride dirt bikes on the weekend. Am I gonna, you know, they don't have insurance. We're gonna start taxing dirt bikes. I mean, I don't get it. Where the fuck does it end? Everything is bad for you today. Started with tobacco. It's okay. It's a slippery road, folks. Fat people, just control yourselves, could you? For Christ's sake. Just behave. How about you eating a woman and you're unprotected? I know you all heard the Michael Douglas story, right? About getting throat cancer, oral sex if a girl's HPV positive. Okay, that's risky behavior. You're going to start taxing pussy? You know what I mean? Where does it end? Stop it. God damn it. It's the beauty of this country. It's supposed to be free. Free to get as fat as you want. Free to be a vegan if you want to live like that. Ever been around a vegan when they fart? Holy shit, they're living on tree bark and fucking worms. It's like having mustard gas fucking smeared on your face. Oh, it's horrendous. But that's the beauty of it, okay? You can eat as much as you want and pop like a giant zit. I don't give a fuck. Quit taxing everything. I mean, is that the solution to everything? You're going to tax when you drive now? They're trying to come up with that? And put a box in your car that counts how many miles you drive and you get taxed based on that? I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't know. Some San Francisco residents have, you know, they get their opinions. As long as it's going to educate people on a healthy lifestyle, I think it's worth it. So-and-so said. Really? It's always under the guise of educating people. How about when their friends drop dead at 28? It's not like we don't see this shit reported on the news every day. Every NBC nightly newscast, CBS or ABC newscast ends with some horseshit chunk about health. Really? They still don't know the difference? Come on, stop with that. Well, one woman disagreed and said, I have an issue with just kind of taxing everything away, so I'm kind of on the fence. Well, get off the goddamn fence. Well, they'll be taxing that. That's bad for you, too. Sitting on a fence, that's risky behavior. Then go right up your ass. Then where are you? You're in San Francisco. Oh, don't say shit like that. Bloomberg tried to ban it outright. It's the same mentality, though. It's the same mentality. It's a chick mentality. I'll say this again. It's a chick mentality. That does not come... That cautious, try to make the world risk-free, that doesn't come from guys. We're too stupid for that. We've been hearing that all our lives. But it is guys who have given into this political correctness, obviously. So, you know. I don't know. Have a National Guard guy stand next to the soda dispensers with a loaded gun. Okay, you only get one, and it's 12 ounces. Is that the world you want to live in? I personally like fat people. I look at fat people and I look at fat guys like my age and I go, God bless that motherfucker. Eats anything he wants. Sure, he could be dead in about 11 minutes, but he's enjoying his life more than I am. I'm always looking at menus going, oh no, I've already had 4 Twinkies. That's enough. What am I? Let people eat and drink what they want. Will you stop with this horse shit? I think I about covered it all. Let me look around. There's a bunch of papers under my seat. Yeah, so I'm away. Here's the scenario. When I get done and say goodnight to you guys here, a good day. Good day, sir. I'm going to go in the other room because I take the phone out of the studio that I'm in here. And I hope the light is blinking and it's my agent going, get ready. Pack your stuff. And I'm headed to Fenway tomorrow night, hopefully. Keep your fingers crossed. That's about it, kids. That's about all I got. Could go into, the the whole healthcare debacle. But like I said, I think the best way to handle that is let it play out on its own, huh? Just let it flop on its face. It's fun to watch the media, which leans so fucking far left. It's hilarious. Try to be, try to be objective here. But even they can't hide this debacle. It's really fun to watch. Makes me excited. All right. Good talking to you, Nick DiPaolo. Until next time, kids. Next time I talk to you, I'll be wearing a Boston Red Sox World Championship shirt. I'm hoping. Let's pray. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everybody.